Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Rebecca Adehill Show. Today I am joined by Bonnie Cee, founder of Color Tone and Automatica. Bonnie has spent years building the intersection of photography, tech, color, and now AI. We speak about creative obsession and how we can take a delusional idea and turn it into something really tangible and profitable. Bonnie, welcome to the show.
Thank you. That was a really nice intro.
Oh,
I feel like I need that bio written down. So
I've got it written down.
Great.
I've practiced. I am so excited to sit down and have this conversation with you.
Great. Awesome.
Yeah.
Love to hear that.
For those that don't know, I feel like you've had a pretty diverse background. So when I first came across you, you were in the photography space, like a kind of a very big deal in the photography world. I remember like seeing your work and I was like, it would be my absolute dream to shoot with you one day. And I was like, but I'm not of that caliber. But like you are just so talented.
Oh, thank
and
you.
since then you've done a pivot, you've got Color Tone, Automatica, AI. Tell us about yourself. Where do we start, girl?
Oh, it's a long story too, so I'll put it in a nutshell. But yeah, I mean, I was a photographer for over 15 years. That was my thing that I found, and I didn't even find it until I was kind of like 22, 23. Like in my early years, like in uni and stuff, I knew I wanted to be creative, but I hadn't found my thing. And then when I did find photography, I was like, this is it. I love it. I'm obsessed. And I kind of like went straight into it, taught myself like everything I know, and then just like over the years found my niche in fashion photography, which is where I loved it the most. But, tried out real estate and, portrait, like family portraits and like all of, tried it all. But then landed on fashion photography where I stayed for quite a long time. I worked for a brand for a while first before going freelance, and then in, I think it was 2014 or 2015, got made redundant from that role, which was probably the best thing that ever happened.
Wow.
Because I was on $37,000 a year,
Wow.
like as a full-time like lead photographer for a fashion brand, and I'm like, that's
Wow,
not a lot of money.
That's not a lot of money.
retrospectively.
Yes, and given the work that you were doing as well, like incredible. Yeah,
So there was that, and then
kind
we
of a
got
blessing
made-
in disguise, though.
Well,
being,
considering that, like, within 2 weeks of being made redundant, I had my first, like, chat with a brand, and they're like, hey, we'd love you to shoot for us this week, like going into the shooting for online boutiques where you go and shoot their products and stuff like. And I was going in being like, thinking, okay, yeah, I'm going to say like my rate's about like $90 an hour. And then they go, oh, well, our other photographer is $200 an hour. So are you happy with that? And I'm like,
Thank you very much.
that will do just fine.
Do not jump up and down. Do not jump. Just compose
was like,
yourself now.
Okay. But
Yeah.
I went in not knowing at all what, I guess, money could really be made in that space because
Yeah,
I was
sure.
just on a salary.
Yeah.
So it very quickly from when I went freelance, from 2015 on to when did I kind of start pivoting? Well, realistically, after I had my daughter and 2020-ish times, which we can get into.
Got it.
But from, 2015 through till then was the glory days. Like, it went full steam ahead. I shot a lot. Like, I loved fashion. I, went really kind of like specified, that's not the word, specialized, oh my God. In swimwear campaigns and photography and stuff. Like, it was the era of Instagram, which was like popping, like it was so much better than it is today. It was like the glory days, and like, went on a lot of brand trips. Like I went to the Maldives 4 times for like brand trips or like influencer trips. Like it's wild to think back on. But, had an incredible time doing that, and, consecutively each year made a shitload of money, which we love. And And
we
do love because, you know, as a photographer, well, as any...
and everybody listening to this, what we all have in common, we all love money.
Well, hopefully that's the right people and they're not going to go, you guys are obnoxious bitches.
No.
And,
If they do.
If they do, well,
you can
tune
exit
off.
the stage left,
Yes,
please.
because we will be talking more about money.
Yeah, definitely.
But during my time as a photographer, in 2018, there was a real trend with photographers selling their editing, like their presets. Yes. You remember the time, probably.
Lightroom, presets. Yeah.
That's it.
Got plenty of them.
Yes. Well, I sold mine as well.
Yeah.
You know, and had a lot of success with that. I think my presets alone sold over $100,000 worth,
Wow.
which is pretty...
That's a lot, given it's such a low ticket. Like, you don't sell them for much, right?
Oh, well, the presets... a lot more than what color tone is now because it's a different market.
Yes, sure.
But they were sold for like $85 a pack, so not completely low.
Okay, yeah.
But it was just, you know, it was just a great time. Everyone was loving them. So that was really successful. But obviously it had a high kind of like barrier to entry in like knowledge of how to install them in Lightroom, and at that time you couldn't sync presets to your phone in Lightroom or anything like, so you had to have a technical knowledge to
be able
them.
to do that, right?
Yeah, it wasn't to like the everyday consumer. So obviously I was like, oh, I would love to turn this into an app, but God knows how the hell I do that. Like, I had no idea. But through a bit of research and like internet sleuthing back in the day, before you could vibe code anything.
Yeah, 100%.
Essentially, I found an app which was made by a small independent developer, and it was doing a similar thing, like adjacent to what I wanted to do, where it like allowed you to import your own LUTs, which are what they called on the back end, into that app. And down on the bottom of, you know, on the App Store, it had a little contact email, and it's like, any questions, you know, just contact me. And I'm like, hello, Enrique. His name was Enrique, except he was from the Ukraine. But he lived in Spain. I'm not quite sure. Enrique, if you're listening, sorry. Not sure how that all comes about. But anyway, I emailed him and I'm like, hey, any chance you could help me build this app? This is what I want to do. I want to put my presets but into an app which is easy for people to use, and they can just tap in, you know, filter their photos. And he wrote back, which was cool. And within 6 weeks, I think we had our first iteration of color tone. So he was like, yep, you know, he was like a semi-retired app developer who was just doing his own things. Like, I got quite lucky in finding him and someone, you know, like, as opposed to having to go through an agency or something.
What I love about that is that, you know, the good old saying, if you don't ask, the answer is always going to be no.
True.
Right? And I just love that you just decided to reach out and you were like, what's the worst thing that can happen? And look, 6 weeks later you had, you know, a first draft of an app.
Yeah. Yeah, pretty much. Like, I feel very, like, I don't want to say lucky because, you know, it's not like it was a fluke, but I do feel very lucky that I found that route and gave it a try, as you said, and then it came to fruition because, you know, it was all at the right time and it happened so easily. And, you know, because he was, you know, living in, you know, the Ukraine. I don't know if this is fine to say, cut it out if it's not, but it shouldn't be. But like, you know, and I paid him in US dollars, which, you know, the conversion rate is very, very good. So the first iteration of color tone, I think I paid $7,000 for or something, which is like nothing compared to if you went through an agency in Australia to do that. So I feel very lucky that happened. And then...
So what year did you launch Color Tone?
2018. So it was in
2018,
May 2018. And it was a really good time on Instagram still. And it was early days of... like, not many creators were doing apps or were able to.
Sure, yeah.
There was myself and then another creator who I would consider probably my biggest direct competition, although she completely decimates Color Tone now because she had over 1 million followers. She's very, very successful. The amount of money her app makes is insane, and I can tell you later.
Love that. Yeah.
You know, it was only really me and her, and then the big guns like Visco, Lightroom, like all of them.
Yeah.
So it had huge traction from the beginning, and it was back in that time where that Instagram aesthetic of, you know, blue ocean, like, you know, really blue ocean, really tan skin, like that, you know, 2017, 18, like Instagram aesthetic was popping, and mine was the first app that like brought that in for, you know, the everyday gal to be able to
and what
use it.
Yeah, and what I really love about that, having followed you for such a long time, I feel like I can see a like Bonnie coded photo. You know, I could see the pattern across, like, you know, your fashion photography and,
for sure.
you know, your editing style, and like, which is like, you know, that kudos to you, because that's a skill in itself to be so consistent. It's like, without looking at your name, I was like, that's a Bonnie photo. I could see it straight away.
Yeah.
And it's really cool because obviously I know with the quality of work that you did and also the models that you shot too, there was a lot of hype around that, and we all wanted to be and look like that, right?
Yeah.
Which is, you just like put one and one together, which I love, but it kind of gave us access. So without having the opportunity to like shoot with someone like you, we could still somewhat take an average photo and turn it into the same kind of like feeling in a click of a button. And I think the convenience, like, back then of having that, like, you stood out like there's no tomorrow, because before people kind of, it was huge, right?
Yeah.
And I think you really saw that gap in the market.
Yeah. Well, I'm just glad I could fill it. Like, that's the thing, because I saw it and wanted it. And, you know, I got lucky enough to find that, to be able to do it, because without seeking out that little, you know, that developer, you know, and finding that and doing my research, I wouldn't have been able to, and that would have been a real shame, because Colour Tones turned out to be the greatest surprise success of my career.
Wow,
like,
that's incredible.
I had no idea it would become what it has, but, you know, I'm like, and it took me years to even realize, because I just kind of had it as like, oh, it's on the side, it's doing its thing. And then I realized it funds my entire life and lifestyle and every other project I want to do. And I'm like, okay, maybe
congratulations.
I should
That
nurture
is
this.
huge. That is so cool.
Yeah.
I'm really curious to, and we're going to dive in more, I think, because then you have Automatica, and like I think that, you know, you've dived deep into the AI space. But before we even like get to that,
it all comes around together, though.
Well, exactly right. But my question to you, because I see myself as a creative as well, but through a different light. I'm not a photographer, but like even through dancing for me, or even through expression, through fashion, or the aesthetics of, you know, my studio that we spoke about. And, you know, I do believe that being a creative, or even being an artist, comes in so many different forms. And I remember
100%.
one of my clients, she's over in Canada. She said to me probably like a year ago now, she goes, Rebecca, you're an artist and business is your canvas. And I thought that was such a beautiful thing to say. And that's really stuck with me, because I feel like business can sometimes be quite blunt. But how we bring it to life is, you know, that's the power. And how do you as an artist and as a creative, because I'm assuming now when you have tech, AI, there's a lot of like technical stuff. How do you complement like the artist in you whilst navigating the tech and the AI and like all of the techie bits, and still letting your creativity flow? Because I believe they're kind of yin and yang in a way.
Yeah, I suppose so. I guess I've never like, it's interesting to hear that, I guess, definition, because I've kind of just like always been how I am. So for me,
do what
it
you
comes
had to
naturally.
do. Yes.
But to give you some context, like my family growing up was a tech nerdy geeky family. Like,
oh wow,
yeah. So in my household, like my brothers are all in IT. So either in one of them's a software engineer, the other ones are in. I don't even know.
But I get it. So just like a techie background.
Yeah,
all,
like in my house, my brothers used to have what they call LAN parties. I don't know if you've ever heard of that. Yeah, okay. So if you're old enough to know what that is,
yes.
you know, 10 teenage boys come, they
my
all
brother
bring
had
their
them as
computer.
well. Yeah.
and they link them up because there was no internet Wi-Fi and they just play games for 24 hours. And I'm just like, that was normal.
Yeah.
Our linen cupboard was a server room.
Yes, got it.
So I've just naturally grown up with a techie background. Like I'm not a sporty girl at all.
That was really interesting though that you would have been like in being so heavily in tech and you're like creative. Like that is so far from being techie, right?
But is it?
I don't know.
Well, I don't know. I don't think it is because it's like, but let me, I guess, explain because like, for example, obviously something in me has always had a vision for making pretty things.
Yes.
Like before I knew I wanted to do, found photography and, where I am now and all of this stuff. Like I, explored floristry, makeup artistry, like all these different
creative angles,
things, like anything about making something beautiful. But I also spent a lot of my younger years like in Photoshop where I hadn't connected the taking the photo first part yet because I hadn't found photography. But I would have photos of myself, me and my friends, and I'd like be in Photoshop like turning us into vampires and stuff. Making the eyes red or whatever it was like and that, links up. That's, I guess tech, although it's like I guess now what we're doing there is a lot more technical stuff coming into it. But realistically, it's like just understanding the tools of computers, AI, tech and all of that. But everything I create is still in a visual realm. And to me, they do marry up very well.
That's cool,
but
yeah.
I guess it depends what you're creating. Like I'm not I don't know.
I don't think you're giving yourself like enough credit here because, we were discussing like your team, for instance, like being some of your team is being like super technical, right? Would you deem them a creative?
Okay, I get you. So Alex, my developer, love you, Alex. You're the best.
Would you say that he's a creative, right? No, he's
well, he is.
I think it's rare to come across. I think it's very, very rare. So I just want to like shine some light on you. There's a lot of lighting cameras on you right now. But I think it's a really fascinating thing to be able, because I believe, and I could be wrong, but the technical side and a process and data and AI, that is like you go from A to Z, right? And then you need to follow a process to to be able to click that button and change it into that filter and to lower the exposure here and up the contrast and then save it. So that is a process.
Yeah.
Not necessarily a creative direction. Maybe how it feels in the navigation of it, that could be creative. But the process in itself, in my opinion, is just like A to Z, where I feel like that requires a very different part of your brain because when you say, but I like to make things beautiful, well, let's discuss what makes something beautiful because that is,
taste.
That's taste, right? Which is your artistry.
Yeah.
So they actually, in my opinion, in what I'm seeing, and just being a reflector, reflecting back at you now, I see that there is like a harmony in your incredible mind in terms of being so logical and technical, of being able to take something from A to Z, but also allow for your creativity to flow through all of that.
Yeah.
Like that is a huge and rare skill.
Well, it's interesting because I've never had it laid out like that for me before because I just do what I do.
Yeah.
But, thinking about if we're just jumping ahead, 6-7 years to what we're doing today.
Yes.
Alex being a developer, he works in code, right? It's all numbers and letters on a screen.
Yeah.
And bless his soul, but he doesn't have a design bone in his body.
Do you
and
know what
he
I
puts
mean?
rainbow gradients on things when he's doing testing. And I'm like, stop right now.
You know what I mean? That's what I mean. It's like
and I'm like, we cannot do this, Alex. But, what the level that we're at now with what we're doing with both color tone and then Automatica Photo, which we'll get into as well, it's been such a fun journey this last, let's say, 2 years. And especially this brings AI into it as well because it's allowed us to understand and create things we could never before. But I'm going so deep on the tech side of not that I'm learning to code, but understanding how to convert numbers and letters into a visual response that then looks good and does what I want it to, say, like, for example, the effect of halation on a photo and recreating that, it's so mind-blowing and interesting to me.
Yes.
And, like, connecting those, I'm losing my mind. Like, it's so cool. And it's like me and Alex, when we're in the office by ourselves, we geek out.
We geek out.
We geek out.
Love a good geek
Like,
out session.
But, you know, obviously I've got the vision at the end, like, because I created it and, you know, started it and all of that. You know, I know what it should look like, and I've come from the years of photography and all of that. But now the fact that we're able to, before it was kind of like impossible to reverse engineer that. Like, I didn't have the tech know-how, but we've been able to bridge that gap over the last 2 years. And it's like, I feel like now I'm like, should I do a PhD in color science kind of thing? Like, this is, I'm not going to, because obviously way too much time.
Yeah.
But it's just, my mind's being blown by connecting them. And I never thought about it until you said it right now, because it's like, I've just always done it without really considering that they're so different. So this is the first time I think I've ever realized, you know, that
I love
it's
that.
not connected.
Yeah.
Because I'm like,
well,
it
the
is, you know,
overall
but like,
picture of what you are trying to achieve is very much connected. And the way I relate it to my own business is that, you know, I get to put my own like creative expression on like the core part of my business. Like we could be 10 people offering the same things, the same service, maybe with the same knowledge, but it's my expression and how I do it and how I make people feel, and like even infusing creativity in my thought leadership versus just like saying a thing. It's like how I say it and how it's perceived and how it's land. Like I geek out over those things. So like when I see someone like yourself, because of my own creative process, I think about, you know, the yin and the yang of like the masculine structure of like, okay, we needed to look like in this particular way. How do we want it to feel? How do we want, like, what is, it's so different. And I think it's very rare that you find it in one person. So you're a bit of a unicorn.
I wish.
No, certainly. No, you are. But Bonnie,
nice
tell
to
me, so obviously you got pretty lucky finding that developer. Now you have an in-house developer. You've got a bit of a team. But something that you speak about is a lot of people, especially perhaps in the space that you're in with apps and photography and editing, they often go and raise a lot of funds. And I feel like it's a bit of a buzzword in the you know, entrepreneurial world at the moment, that we just fundraise. Like everybody's like fundraising all the time. And you're like, no, I didn't need to, or I chose not to.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that perhaps that wasn't always easy, but you have chosen not to fundraise. Can you tell us?
Well, I think it comes from, you know, like, as you can tell by everything we've spoken about right now, like being a creative in whatever is like my main thing, you know, like I absolutely love businesses and making projects and businesses, but I've never studied business. Like I never really learnt the route on how to go and seek out venture capitalism or whatever and start, you know, and get investors. So it's never something that, for one, I knew how to pursue. It also would scare me, the fact that I would have to pay someone back. But also I've just always worked quite individually, because whenever I've kind of like, you know, as a photographer, you do work individually, but, you know, like I'd never really been able to find someone who works as hard as me on a project that is mine. So I've always just kind of like stepped my way up. And it's like, if I made money in photography, I'd like reinvest that in something else. Like to give a really good example, which is, you know, quite random, probably bringing this into this because I didn't really preface it in it. But I had a very small, somewhat film career, which you might have seen appear in the last couple of years. And like I self-funded all of that from, you know, profits from Colour Tone and stuff like that. I've just it's never been in my brain to seek out from other people investment. I don't know if it's because I never learnt it, or because I'm scared of what if it doesn't work and then I have to like pay them back? I don't know. It's like too much pressure almost. It's like if I'm just doing it myself and then, you know, like then there's not as much pressure.
Well, then you don't have people to adhere to or like...
Which I hate as well, yes.
Yeah,
I do not like having bosses.
You're like, don't tell me what to do and let me do it my own way. Yeah,
yes,
so I think it's a part of that as well. And I think you just... And maybe it's like honouring your... again, your artistry and your creation. It's like you want things your way and don't make yourself wrong for that. I think there's a lot of power in that, because what I have seen when a lot of people go for investors, whether that is strategic or they're raising capital, eventually and often what happens, number one, it puts a tremendous amount of pressure on the founders. And like sometimes it will pay off really well, but I've also seen times where they go for that investment and then they lose a lot of equity. And essentially over time, they just become a paid employee of a company that used to be 100% theirs and now maybe they own 10 to 20% equity with, you know, a huge payback rate. And even for those companies to be able to exit at a rate that will give them a huge payout on, say, like a 20% equity, often it's not worth it.
I feel like I'd kind of, if I ever went that route, I would lose the passion for it, because like if it's not mine, then like whenever I've worked for someone else, and no one judge me for this, but like, you know, whenever I've worked for someone else, the way I've always thought my life growing up, like I always knew I wanted to work for myself. So whenever I've worked for someone else, I've essentially used that as an opportunity to learn as much as I can from them, like when I was working in fashion and stuff, gain as much experience as I can and upgrade my skills to benefit myself for when I
but I think that's very normal. I think that's what we do in this life in general. It's like I don't think it's anything bad in that, because it's like you would always be loyal to the people that you work with. You can't undo experience. You can't undo learning something. I think it's very natural. And as you evolve as a human being, you will take the skills and the experience and you will apply it into future things that you do.
And I understand that with my employees as well. Like, you know, like eventually they'll leave me. Sad face, don't ever. But, you know, like, like I understand that realistically everyone should always be out for themselves first. And, you know, I would never harbour a grudge against, you know, any of my employees who came in and like learnt from what we've done and then, you know, sort out their own thing. But, you know, the second it becomes someone else's project, I'm not as interested because it's not mine. Like, you know, I've got to be able to do, I guess, whatever crazy thing I want to do. And I have learned that about myself, and I'm best being the boss and then having people, you know, bringing on the right people who are also interested in my delusions and who want to help me do that and think it's interesting and fun and, you know, getting them to support me. That's, you know, that's what beautiful. I found is the best way. So it's like,
I love that. Yeah.
But if I don't know, if an investor came to me and said, we're going to give you, you know, I don't know, $1 million, I don't even know how much, $1 million or something to help you grow color tone, I mean, I'd probably be like, okay, well, tell me how this works for me. And if it does, and if I could see a clear way, maybe. But I've just naturally, like, I don't know, just progressed and then
Well, the thing is this, Bonnie, that, you know, and the way I see this, and having had investors in a previous company I used to own, and that was at a time where I really financially needed it. So I was happy then. I'd already taken a risk going out on my own, and, you know, I was single at the time, no children, but I really needed like some support. It was my first business, and when someone is like waving a whole heap of cash at you, as like I was in mid-20s at the time, it's like you don't turn that down. You just don't, right?
Yeah.
But I learned a lot.
Sounds scary though.
Well,
because then you owe them.
Well,
maybe. I don't know.
It depends on how it's structured. It depends on how it's structured. Yeah. So I think maybe at the end of the day, and what I learned about that experience, at the end of the day, it's always like business is business. It's numbers. Yes. At the moment, there is probably like a lot of uncertainty, and you're like, I don't really know what that's going to look like. Or if someone listening, thinking about getting investors on board, we're like, I would love to invest in other companies, whether that is through capital or just like my strategic input to step into an existing business and just blow it up with them. Like I would love to do that. And I've had a lot of proposals on my desk in which I've looked over. And I think that a lot of people don't understand. And I even said to a couple of people that the amount of money they wanted to raise and for the amount of equity they were willing to give me, I basically said to them, I said, if you believe in this business, and I said, this is probably what I shouldn't be saying as a businesswoman, but you should not be giving me this equity. Like you need to walk away and do your research and they're like, oh my gosh, Rebecca, thank you so much for sharing this because we would have I said, no. If you are looking at the forecast of what you're projecting this business to be, with the money that you're asking for the equity that you are willing to give me, I said,
that's stupid, like a silly.
Well, exactly right. And they, they thank me for saying that. I said, I could have just jumped in and taken that and, life's a party kind of vibe, but that would not have felt right for me.
No. Yeah.
Where I feel like I just that karma will come back to me.
Yeah, that's very good of you.
By doing that. So talking about, you have now a team and you're, creative, your delusional thinking of like we can do anything.
Yeah.
And you're very like in the tech and AI space, but now you're kind of gone back to old school with Automatica.
Yeah.
So tell us what Automatica is. I know what it is, but for those that are listening, what is it?
Yeah.
Why did you decide to go back to old school? Tell us about that.
I like to call myself like a tech girly with an analog soul. It's like,
I like that.
Yeah, it's like, everything that with photography and stuff, like you can see the trends have come back around. Everyone loves shooting film again. I love shooting film. Like you can't, like it's, I don't even know how to say it. It's like, it's so like, I guess how it used to be and like, shooting film and stuff, like it's incredibly hard to replicate these days. Like you can't really redo that nostalgia and like the real authenticity of like how, colours come across in film versus digital and like, half the time it just looked better. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's so cool. Like I don't know what it is about it.
No, I get it.
But it's like, I've always had a love for that kind of like authentic raw soul of like what, photography was and the visual, like I guess the visual, I don't know what the word is even to say, but like how visuals came across, like, the tangibility, the tactileness of like printed, magazines and stuff like that. Like we all reminisce about what was cool. Like even movies in the 90s, like the early 2000 rom-coms, like, like all the teen movies, like She's All That, American Pie, I don't know, whatever else it is. Like, we don't do that anymore. Like we can't, no one's recreating that properly. Everything's changed and no one seems to be able to get back to that really. But when we look back, we're like, this was so sick and we can't do it anymore. So I feel like a lot of us look back and then there's a whole generation as well of Gen Zs and then Gen Alphas, I think, come under them who never experienced it, like never even had like an analog TV or phone with, that plugged into the wall and had an aerial and stuff like that, right?
Yeah.
Like I at least experienced the crossover of that. So I have both the experience in that era and how, like, I mean, I guess I wouldn't have thought it was cool at the time, but now, looking back, I'm like, it was cool that I got to experience that. And then there's this whole generation coming up that never got to, and they have this like, I heard someone explain it, kind of like why I guess the trend of nostalgia and analog is thriving so much right now and still trending is like because the future looks dire. You know what I mean? Like they don't really want to look forward to the future. They're, reminiscing on days that unfortunately they don't even know. But there was just so much good stuff that like I guess came out of that and we just everything's so different now. And the fact that they can like I guess go back and achieve that same look through like if they bought an old film camera or, an old CRT TV, which I mean, it wasn't cool at the time, but now we're
But
like.
now I think
it's
there
like-
is so much
it's just
beauty in it. Like I just remember, when you just had like your normal, I don't even know what the cameras are called. When you had to like swipe to get like
Yeah, just like a film camera,
film-
like a
just,
disposable film camera,
Yeah,
maybe.
exactly right. Yeah, and you know how it's like quite viral online at the moment. It's
Yeah.
like, hey, like you're going on a trip,
Yeah.
take this, and then you send me
Yeah.
the photos, and then
Yeah, it's like it's taking away the instant gratification, which is like
Right.
everything that we have now, where you can just see it straight away. It's like I don't know, I can't even like pinpoint what the like obsession is with it, but
I
there's
feel like
just
it's like
something
raw, like it's raw beauty in my eyes.
Yeah.
Like there is something, and also when you had to like go to, that photography kind of like shop, and then you had to leave the film and you had to come back and they put them in, and like you go through all the photos. Like it's something so raw
it's more
and
rewarding, I think.
yeah,
as well.
and I think so as well. And like we have everything so instant right now, so we almost like don't get the gratification of like waiting. I actually had this discussion with my dad, which was actually on the topic of like memories. And we went on a father-daughter trip to Hamilton Island. We had 5 days together, and like he's still talking about that. And I think there is something about it's the traveling there, it's the being there and being present and leaving and speaking about it after. And I think that like it's such a journey that it's like it's not just about being there for those 5 days. It's like what it means and going there and leaving there and everything that happened in between and the memories and how we tell that story. And when we look back at photos, like it's such an extensive journey almost that was only 5 days.
Yeah.
And I feel like maybe there are some similarities there where that raw beauty and the memories, and it's not just instant.
Yeah. It's just like it was real, I guess you could say. Like it has
Yeah.
this sense of that, whereas now like everything's always super digital, high definition, like we're getting quality better, AI. And this is a real juxtaposition because I also absolutely love AI.
Well, that was going to be my question. I think we've
quite
looped.
bizarro.
We've looped a bit now because I kind of love that we've kind of gone this direction. But Automatica, it's a photo booth, right?
Yeah, so Automatica, like essentially, everything's pushing so quickly into AI. Everything that's going out on the internet is like nothing's really real anymore, right?
Yeah.
So Automatica, like, and I'm very pro AI, so I'm a bit of I'm on both sides.
Yeah.
But Automatica Photo is essentially living in the world of nostalgia. So it's bringing back, between 1975 to 1985, like photo booths. So to give clarity, unfortunately, there's only like 200 or less traditional analog photo booths left in the world, right? So they're very rare and hard to come by. The ones that actually shoot and expose film onto paper and chemically process it. So they're very rare. A lot are in Europe, a lot are in the US. I think there's only about 6 in Australia, all of which I think there's like 4 of them in Melbourne, maybe 2 in Sydney, and none up here. And they're very hard to come by. So as much as that would be my dream to have, because of my tech creative mind as well and my love for analog, but also my experience in photography and tech and all of that, and also my habit of being a perfectionist is like my goal is to recreate as close as I can to real analog but done digitally, which sounds bizarre.
I get it.
But because this is a dying art, I guess you could say, and so many people have tried to recreate what real film and analog stuff can do and failed miserably. And because of, I guess, the way that I just love photography and have an eye for colour and, have access, and now I'm learning all these ways to create our own effects which actually can mimic these things. Like I spent months working on this halation effect that we put into color tone because so many apps have done it really shitty, but it's nearly impossible to recreate.
Yeah, I get
this,
it. Yeah, for sure.
You know?
Yeah.
So it's kind of like my life's mission, which is a bit pointless because it doesn't save the world or anything, but to like bring, I guess, you know, the essence of analog or the soul of analog into digital, but done so well that it doesn't seem like a poor attempt at it. Do you know what I mean? Like I'm trying to really honor, like our tagline for Automatica Photo is an ode to analog. So even though we don't have, you know, full-on film booths because they're incredibly rare and hard to come by and hard to keep running. It's like it's a dying art where there's only a certain amount of chemicals and paper left in the world sort of thing. But we are custom building our own booths and have been spending months on our emulations, like which we are doing digitally and through tech, but to create like if you see the photo strip that we're creating and outputting next to an original scanned photo booth strip, they're so damn close. And to me, that's like achievement. Like I'm like so sick because it's
done.
It's really hard to do.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to do it authentically in a way that doesn't dishonor this group of people who love analog and nostalgia and the soul of that, but also brings it into a space where realistically we are in life, you know, we are in the future and we're moving more into it. So it's like trying to, I guess, keep the soul of it there.
Yes.
But, you know, amongst that, if we're talking about branding and taste and, you know, business as a whole, like Automatica Photo, it's been really fun rebranding a business from the ground up again because I haven't done it in so long. And like the space.
Ooh, startup vibes.
It's very fun. But like the space we're creating is not just going to be a booth in a room, you know, empty, you come and you use it.
Yeah.
Like we've been trawling Facebook Marketplace amongst other things and found all these genuine nostalgic pieces. Like we have this record player from the 70s, which is like this yellow space age looking flying saucer thing. And we have these like original like JVC TVs. This one, it's like, it's in a sphere. It's like
cool.
We've like gone and sourced far and wide to kind of have this mix of retro, authentic nostalgia, like analog pieces. Like I'm talking these TVs, they don't show anything on them. They've just got static because the world doesn't, you know, project, you know, on the right. Wow, I sound stupid, but you know, like
I get it.
We don't transmit on those same TV waves anymore.
No,
but still, like, you know, all the younger generation are going to come in and they've never seen this stuff before, and they're just going to be like, "Fuck, this is cool.
This is cool."
They've never seen, you know, a big box TV with
and I feel like
on
we
it,
just need some like whiskey glasses and just like to sit down and have like an old school whiskey.
Yeah, like listening
I don't
to
know
a
why I
record
said
player,
that,
like,
but I'm like, that's the kind of like setting I see.
Yeah, it's like a little speakeasy kind of thing.
Yeah.
You know, like it's a little nook hole in the wall and you come in and you're transported into, you know, the 70s and 80s with also some lovely modern furniture in there as well. But like one of my favorite things, and this is really geeky, but I've got lately for it, is because we got this little TV and it's a cute little pocket TV and it's red, which is on brand. It's Automatica colours. And the TVs, I don't know why, but back in the day used to tune radio a lot as well. And so it can tune to the radio and you can get AM, FM. And so what I've done is I went online and bought an AM transmitter. So essentially there's this little box and it has an aerial and I can plug it into my computer and I can transmit the like music that I'm playing off Spotify onto the AM frequency and then tune this little TV to play it.
I love that.
So now in the office, like I prefer to listen to our music in the office instead of playing it off my laptop or whatever. We play it off this little old school radio and it just has this feel that you just cannot replicate anymore. And that's the bridge between digital and
like
analog.
new world, yeah.
New world and old world. And it just it works somehow. Well, I'm hoping it works
I'm getting
somehow.
goosebumps. It's like, and
It's
I can't
very
wait.
cool.
Like even the way you are talking about it, it's really beautiful because I think we all have, and I think this is like we can't resist to the evolution of the world because it's
No.
like you like, and you're so pro AI, and I know you're like excellent at it, and you are incorporating it, which I love. But I think it's just I think it's just a beautiful reflection or energy just to sit in, just to be in the energy of like old school, and it's like take me back to when we were young, and like it's just like you're holding on to old memories that like many of us like hold so dear, right? We think back to our childhood memories, and like often like it's those things. It's like at my grandma's house and I was trying to get the right radio, or like
It's nostalgia.
it's
It's
and I
such a
think
sensory
it's so,
thing.
yeah, exactly right. And I think it's such it's an emotional state that we can only access through that. And I feel like that is what you are recreating. That is like it's so much more than just a visual thing. Like it's a full emotional state of taking us right back. And that's really powerful.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a weird connection, but like it's, I don't know how to explain it either. And I don't know why I choose to do these crazy things, but it just comes to me and I'm like, I'm going to do this.
Well-
I'm going to do it well. And it's just fun.
And that leads me to my next question. I've got a couple of more questions for you. And I can tell that you have an incredible drive. Like you just do, and you're like, yeah, I need to learn 2 things right now, and that's going to bed earlier and being on time.
Yes.
Right?
I don't want to, but unfortunately to function, apparently I have to.
You
So,
need to get some sleep.
do.
But
Not enough hours.
what I love, and it's like, we're not promoting, I guess, burnout or
No, we're
toxic,
Toxic hustle
yeah.
culture, whatever it is.
But and I feel like you already know this about me, and I feel like we have that in common too. If you want something, you need to be willing to work for it.
Yeah.
You can't be 20% in, you can't be 30% in. Like you're just going to be all in, and that comes with the cost. And I think in particular as women, I feel like we need to speak more about like what it truly takes. And I know that you are someone, like now we're speaking about all of these things and what you have created, but like you are taking us back like 12, 13 years since you started photography. Like we are not speaking about the last 6 months. Like we're speaking like 10 plus
Decades,
years of you putting in the hard yards to get to what you have today. Yet I would argue that you are probably one of the hardest working women I've met. Where it's like, even though you've been in the game for like 10 plus years, that does not mean that you just now take the foot off the gas, because now you got you got a taste for the money.
No.
She got a taste for the money. Now
Gotta
she wants to
maintain
keep
the
on,
lifestyle.
Yeah, she's got to
Trying.
yeah, right. And
Yeah.
but
But
tell
also
me
I'd be
about
bored as fuck if I stopped.
you'll be bored as fuck.
Yes.
Yeah. So tell me about that drive. Like tell me about. I feel like there's a lot of women listening to this, and you have a child. I've got children as well, and as a mother in business, and like, what does it take, and how can you tell, or what can you share with someone who may be thinking like, can I do it all? Can I have it all? Is it too much? Am I asking? Is my ambition too much?
Well, yeah. I mean, I feel quite strongly on this kind of thing because it has been my experience. And over that decade and a half, it's evolved a lot and changed. And I've learnt, there's a lot of change that happens, especially once you have a child. And I think that's the biggest hurdle to get over in business and be able to continue afterwards.
Yeah.
Just because, before that, you can work as hard as you want. You're not really answering to anyone else. You're on your own time schedule. If you have that drive, then, you can go for it. You can stay up till 2, wake up at 10, which, I used to do all the time, and apparently now is a problem, but that's fine.
Yeah.
But you can do that. Once you have a child, everything changes. And I know every mother goes through this transition of completely losing themselves and reinventing themselves. And it does depend on the kind of woman you are, what your priorities are, what you love in life. Like, there's a lot of women who, want to be mothers and that's their thing and they absolutely thrive in it and they have millions of kids and they're the best ever. And I'm like, kudos to you because that's
But it's not for everyone. Yeah, we're all different.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
But like for me, losing my ability to be creative was very eye-opening in knowing that that's who I am and I need to pursue that to be happy within myself. And
that's beautiful.
It's taken me many years to get back to a stage where I can sort of flourish, but everything is different now because the time in the day is a lot less. I only have one child. You have three. I can only imagine how much time they, want from you, which is totally fine and they should, and it does depend on your partner situation. Like in the early years, I was doing it solo, so I didn't have that support from my partner, but I did have my mum, who was the best. Mums are the best, but it's been a really big change in adapting to try and have a career still now that I have a child. Not that it doesn't have to stop it, but it just changes the time you have available. And, I guess how people perceive you, like if I am really, delving into work, some people might be like, oh, well, actually, no one really says this to me, like, oh, you're not spending enough time with your kid or anything. Because tell you what, I spend plenty of time with my kid. She's stuck to me like glue. But it's the balance of like trying to, get what makes me happy out of life and also be there for her and balancing that. And there's, lots of other aspects of life which come in the way of that, with like chores. Now you've got to do stuff for two people instead of one. Like it just takes double the time.
But
right?
I've heard that someone has also hired a house manager.
I have,
girl.
Which I'm getting to because that, from you, thank you very much. You gave me the push and it is a hack. But like just quickly on this thing for any other women listening and thinking, can I do it or do I want to do it? The greatest lesson I've learned since having my daughter is that because everyone wants everything now, right? They want it instantly. They want to, ship the thing, make the money, whatever. And before you have a lot of commitments, you can kind of do that, right? You can get into hustle. But the biggest lesson I've learned over the last, say, 7 years since she was born is that you just got to keep chipping away. Like if you have this dream of somewhere you want to get to, if you at least take any step you can, over 10 years, you'll be somewhere. Do you know what I mean? Then if you go, no, it's too big, I don't have the time, I can't do it, I'm not even going to try. But I have literally painstakingly chipped away and I will continue to and I'll never stop chipping away. If it takes me 2 times, 3 times as long, I just have to deal with that.
Preach.
It's painful, but you know what? Because I'll still get somewhere in 10 years than if I didn't do anything. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, I have full body goosebumps. Thank you so much for sharing that because I think there is so much power in what you just said. And looking back, having 3 kids myself, I adapted the same mentality. I didn't want to have to choose. And, I didn't have the luxury back then of, now my husband is a stay-at-home dad. But that luxury I did not have it there. We were both working and we did not have all the things that we have today. And I think I just kind of want to add to that as well. And something that my parents taught me was for as long as you have yourself and you have your own back, you're always going to be okay. That, we don't need everything yesterday. We don't, like if it takes time, that is okay. But you need to learn to trust yourself in that, chipping away at it. It's just like if I am trusting myself enough, I'm just going to keep at it and keep on moving. And I know like maybe I don't know when I'm going to arrive. And also we could go down the rabbit hole of defining if we ever arrive because I believe there's always going to be a constant evolution of life. And I think that's and again, maybe this is the lesson in this when you realize that there is no such thing as arriving because when I look back and I wrote like my biggest, wildest dreams list. I think it was like 7 years ago. And I said, I would love to achieve this in 5 years. And I remember finding that note and I look at that and I'm like, I've achieved all of that and some. And like back then it was so far away from what I thought was possible. But I'm like, I'm just going to dream and I have to find it. But I'm like, and I'm writing some like pretty juicy stuff there. But I have achieved some pretty juicy stuff only because I chose to have one foot just in the game, in the arena. I didn't clock off. And sure, that comes with a cost. But I also think what we are also showing our kids, and I'm even noticing this, and like I still co-sleep with my kids.
Do you?
Yeah.
Holy shit.
And
okay.
Yeah. So I've got 3 kids in bed, and it's my thing with them. Our bedtime routine. It's very sacred. It's very special, and I'm always the one that's putting my kids to bed, and it's like it's probably like an hour process every night and we talk about things, and it's a big thing.
It probably gets you to bed on time too, so you don't then just stay up till 2 a.m.
No, and that is something that I used to do. I used to put the kids to bed, and then I used to go back up and jump on the computer again. I actually don't do that anymore. So when I put the kids to bed, I actually do go to bed because it's I'm not a night owl, so it's not my most efficient work. But what is really interesting, because I'm very mindful of the things that we talk about, and I let their minds kind of flow, and they ask me all of the questions, and often when the lights are off, it's like when their deepest thoughts come to life. So like I hold space for that. But even seeing, since they are witnessing me, and I speak about what it feels like for me to go after what I want, and I speak about that I'm nervous about certain things and I'm excited, and why, like I'm flying out to Vegas tomorrow, and I take them on the journey with me. And what's been really cool, since I'm like involving them in my work, because I don't see work as a bad thing. It's a part of who I am, of like chasing something like really positive. Even their internal dialogues and the conversations they are having based on just me being so open about how beautiful work is and how we get to go after what we want, how that has expanded their thinking and their dreams and what they want to do and how they're going to think when they're up against a challenge. And like that is so cool. So I almost think the best thing that we can do for our kids is not just to sit there and we're just going to be there all the time, and like it's like lead by example. And I think that is kind of an uncomfortable thing for us, because like sure, we want to be there, but I am trusting in my own mother intuition that the biggest gift we can actually give them is to lead by example.
Well, that's really nice that you have that dialogue with them. I think that's like quite special. I probably don't have that dialogue with Bronte enough, but I hope she's watching, which I'm sure she is, and seeing like everything I do. And well, actually, she comes in the office with me plenty. She probably has no idea how cool it is, but she, with the photo booth that we have in the office that we're testing in, she wants it in her bedroom. She wants it to be hers. So, like she's really excited. She's like, when's the photo booth open and stuff like that. So whether or not I'm intentionally kind of like guiding her enough, or she's understanding even how rare it is and cool it is to have a mum who's doing that. Like she's absorbing it, and she's an artist too. She's an incredibly good drawer, and like she's insane. And I just know that she's going to just like think she can do whatever she wants in the best way. And I'm all for that. I'm like, whatever it is that you find that you want to do, like you can absolutely do it. And luckily, we will be able to give our children a bit more of a head start in that, because, if she wants to do such and such, like I can afford to give it to her, which is a blessing. And I'll give her every opportunity I can, as long as she does develop that work ethic to work as opposed to,
Well, yes, amen to that.
Seen,
but I think that is modeled in, in a very beautiful way. And my final question to you, and gosh, this conversation, I feel like I just want to keep talking to you for hours, because it's just been such a like grounded, beautiful conversation where I feel like we've gone back in time, but we're here, we're excited about the future. We're just, gosh, I feel really connected to this conversation. And And my question to you, like someone who's like sitting back listening right now, and like you're a multifaceted human being, you're an entrepreneur, you have insane work ethic, you're a mother, you have done incredibly well for yourself, but you're like, I have a feeling that you are just getting started as well, which I love so much about you.
Yeah.
What would you say to someone that is just like, they just know that they are maybe not giving it their all, but they're like, they want something to change. They want a different outcome. They want a different bank balance. What's your message to them when they're like, they want a different life and lifestyle? They have expensive taste, you know. Bonnie just pulled up in a Porsche at the front when I'm like, what an entrance. I love it. And they look very much beautiful when they were parked next to each other.
Yeah.
What would you say to someone that I'm like, I know that I have more in me, but I'm not just doing it yet?
Well, I mean, that's a tricky one. Well, I'll try my best to answer it because I feel like there are certain types of people in this world, and they're people who are similar to us and just see it and do it. And then there are others who just can't envision that being a reality. And, you know, they live a different lifestyle. They can't really understand how we do what we do or why we do what we do. It seems a bit chaotic to them, a bit too much. But, you know, for my entire life, even from when I was young, I just remember that my goal was my goal was always to work for myself and get to a point of where I earn enough money that I didn't have to, I could buy whatever I wanted. Like I didn't have to stress about whatever I wanted. So I've been slowly working towards that goal for as long as I can remember. And, you know, it may have taken longer than expected. It may not. I don't know. Like I will be on this journey forever because now that I've reached here, like I do want to maintain my lifestyle. I don't want to regress. In fact, I think if I regressed back into, you know, not saying I'd be failing at business, but if I regressed back into like working for someone else or like a normal job, I don't know what would cause that to happen. But if I did, I would probably be soul crushed. Like, I don't know, I wouldn't be me anymore.
Yeah.
So it's like if there is someone who feels, I guess, this calling to already be like that, I don't know, I'm kind of like, to me, I'm like, you should already be on your path. But I know that life's not easy, as in like things take money, and having money makes achieving things a lot easier. Like when you have money already behind you from business or whatever, you can take the next step, you can start the next project. Like Automatica Photo, I've probably sunk already like 30, 40 grand into it just because I was able to get the lease, pay the bond, you know, start fitting out the stuff. I can pay the deposit for the booths to be produced like straight away. Like, you know, if I didn't have those funds from my other successful business, then I would have to wait months and save and this and that. So I'm guessing like if there are people who are on this path and know that it's what they want to do, they're probably stuck maybe in that level of not having the funds or the opportunity because of other life circumstances. Say it's restrictions like, you know, kids and just not having enough time or, you know, not being in a job, like they haven't been able to take the leap from, you know, leaving a job to working for themselves. But, you know, I would just say like, once again, kind of coming back to that, chip away. Like if that's the path you want, and it's not for the faint-hearted, but if it's you, you'll know. Do you know what I mean? Like you'll know if this is the one you want to be because you're just that kind of person.
Yeah, you know
like,
it.
Just keep chipping away, and like never has it been easier in like as
the
time
world,
goes on, like the world, especially with AI, how it's coming now, to start a business, create a product, ship a product. Like I don't know what little time you have probably in the day, you know, and it may mean you have a little bit less sleep for a little bit, but in my mind, that's worth it.
But that's
as long
the cost.
As you know,
yes,
is the
say
cost.
it. Yes,
but it's like find that time and just chip away and get that closer, and then just like keep going. Just I don't know, don't give up. But like
no, but like as cliche as that sounds, like that's that. Thank you. Like that is really what it is, and I feel like we sometimes we look for like a magic answer almost in the sense that like we want it to be like there is no shortcut.
No.
People, there is no shortcut. There is like no real handouts. And if you like, either you look for the challenges or you look for the opportunities. And I feel like we have to get so good of always looking for the opportunities. And my beliefs are always like, do I have fear? Yes. But my dreams are always bigger than my fear. And I would say to someone that if your fear is currently loud, like really loud, I would say you're not dreaming big enough. Because if you allow yourself, because at the moment the fear is like it's overriding, allow yourself to dream even bigger. Like go even bigger to the point that dream or the vision that you have, letting that vision evolve over time, but be so clear in your mind that it overrides the fear.
Yeah. Well, I mean, realistically, like, look, I'm not advising anyone to make any silly financial decisions. You know, like you don't have to go and invest $50,000 of your life savings into something that you're like, oh, I don't know, maybe this will work, blah, blah, blah. Like I would suggest not doing that first.
Yes,
like,
I agree.
Do everything you can do. Like, like time is money, but also time is free. And if you're working on your own projects, your time is free for you and it's worth it. So it's like, if it's a matter of just finding that time to like do everything you can do that's free first. And as I was saying with AI and stuff that's around now, like, you know, for one, you should learn it if you haven't. Like, and then you can get probably quite far without having to have any capital behind you before you need to. And even if that's the point of like, you know, you have a brand idea and it's like, okay, so you pay $20 a month for Squarespace and you go and you make yourself a nice branded website so you can visualize what's happening, you know. You can use AI to like develop the product and put it on there. Like, you know, you hear, and this is a big thing in business, like there's so many tech bros and, you know, people who are actually, you know about sales and e-commerce and stuff, and they'll validate a whole business without even having a product.
Yeah.
They'll like, you know, generate the images in AI, make a website, start running ads, blah, 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 and they'll test the whole thing before they're offloading any money into actual product. Like,
crazy.
There's, you know, so much you can do. And if it's service-based business or coaching or something like that you're doing, like write the courses. I don't know, like, you know.
Build your brand, write your course. Yeah, exactly right.
Just
yeah.
chip away at whatever you can. Like, there shouldn't be too much fear unless it's like financial commitment. Like that's what I imagine when someone's like, I'm scared. It's like, are they scared because they, like, what are they scared of? Realistically,
yes.
you know, like, but like,
I feel like everybody needs to actually sit and reflect on that. What are they actually scared of?
Yeah, because if it's just a dream, then what's scary about that? It should be exciting. But the scary thing is, you know, locking into a lease and then building a brand that if you don't get your butt into gear and build those boots, then you're wasting a shitload of money. Like that's scary. But I'm only taking that risk because I have the capital to do that. And if I do learn that very tough lesson on not making silly financial decisions, then I can afford to do that. But never would I do that before being in the position to do that.
Exactly right. Yeah. And I love that. I love you speaking very openly about that. And even when I went out on my own, like, you know, back before I met Brody, I worked 2 jobs and for me, I was like, I will not go all in on my business until I have replaced my income and some. And because I knew I could survive on the one income I got from my job. And I'm like, that was a really important transition for me because I didn't have anything to fall back on then. And then when I saw a pattern of like getting that same income, I knew that I had contracts and monthly recurring revenue locked in. I'm like, now I can see. And it was very logical. Like it wasn't an emotional decision. It was just like, what do I need to do to actually protect myself in this moment? And this is how I'm going to do it. And I think it's just like the willingness of not needing to look a certain way. And I think, you know, grateful for sort of humble beginnings that, you know, I was never, and still I'm not obsessed with looking rich or like I love nice things. I do. But if you look where I'm investing, like, you know, all of my money sits in property. And I love that. And then I have some play money that I buy other nice things for. But, you know, I think that is you need to know what your path is. And I think you need to know it's like, what do I need to feel safe in my body? Where it's like, you don't just like throw everything up in the air and be like, fuck it, let's just go for it. It's like,
I mean, you can sometimes, but you should probably have
probably
play money
you can.
to do that.
Well, exactly. Well, if you want to go like fuck it, yeah. Well, exactly right. I think that's a very important part. Everything that you invest, you must be willing to lose.
Yeah.
And I think about that in property. I think about that when I bought this commercial property, residential, like whatever it is, like anything I invest in, I go, I must be willing to lose it. Otherwise, don't spend it.
Yeah.
And often that turns out better because we need to learn to trust ourselves to be like, well, I'm willing to take that risk, and it's the decision that we do on our end.
Yeah.
But yeah, I really love that you shared that, and I feel like you are just such a source of inspiration, creativity, artistry, tech, genius, like you're just a geek and a creative and an artist in like,
keep going, thank you.
Yeah, I can just, no, but I really see you. I see the, just the woman that you are and like I love the quirkiness that you speak about in you. Like I just see the depth of who you are, and just, I feel like that is your superpower, to be the complex, multifaceted, incredible human that you are.
Yeah, I don't even know. It's just how I am. I'm just me.
Which is the magical part about all of it.
We love that. I'm glad you can see all that, because I'm just like, you know, most of the time I'm like, don't meet your heroes, guys, because I'm just a regular person, you know. But,
aren't we all? Yes.
You know, but that's nice to hear that's kind of, I guess, seen.
I heard someone say, you are so special, but you are not more special than anyone else.
Touché. That's humbling, isn't it?
Right.
It's like nice, but also like humbling.
Oh shit! It's like, oh, thank you so much. Boom.
Yeah,
but it's very true. It's like it keeps us humble. So, I have loved talking to you today.
Yeah, me too.
I cannot wait for this episode to drop live. I feel like you're going to have an influx of people. Even just investing in and buying color tone, starting to use that and come to use your, like, I can't wait to, like, do we book a session for?
Oh, you won't have to book, but when it's open, well, I presume it won't be that busy, but maybe it will, and then you will have to book, but probably not. No, you'll just be able to come into the spot. It's in Bellyhead, so it's like right off the Gold Coast Highway.
Wow. Is it open now?
Not yet, no.
Okay.
We are still
fitting it out and building it.
You know?
Yeah, 100%.
I've never built an in real life thing before. It's always been digital. So just the literal building of like booths and, you know, like all of this stuff together, like it takes time. So hopefully within 2 months.
Perfect. Yeah. So let's throw a party once it's...
Oh, yes, definitely.
Big launch party. Yes. We will be there.
Lots of cute photos.
Lots of cute photos, yeah. Yes. We love a good photo moment.
Everyone does. That's why it's going to thrive, because bitches love photos.
On that note, bitches loves photos.
I do.
I am going to leave all of Bonnie's details in the show note. Make sure that you reach out to her on Instagram, connect with her, start using color tone, and once you have launched Automatica,
Automatica Photo. Yeah. But, you know, like essentially, yeah.
Perfect. We will all go there so we can snap a photo. Thank you for tuning in to another episode, and thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you.